Hello, my name is Clay Hepler, and I run a 22-person land investing and development business. We have 20 offers plus that are sent out every single week without me even looking at them. I just took 10 days off recently and went and took my mother on her 70th birthday to Norway. No fires, no emergencies, and no Slack pings. And we're on pace to make over $3 million in top line profit this year. I run a funding company to help other land investors fund their deals, and I coach high level land investors to scale their business. And I could probably be done with my workday by 2:00 p.m. But a year ago, I was doing everything, signing contracts on vacation, backing up offer calls, underwriting all the deals, plugging every single hole in the business with my own time. I was the bottleneck, and I had to fire myself to finally scale. Here's a truth that most gurus don't want to talk about a lot. If your business stops running when you walk away, you have a high-paying job. You're a high-paying freelancer, and you've built yourself a prison around the vanity metrics of more instead of more profit, more scale, more systems. You've built something that relies entirely on your brain, your time, and your output. That's not scalable. That's not freedom. That's just a shinier version of being someone else's employee. A real business runs without you, not because you're lazy, not because you're slacking, but because you've built a machine. Your job is not to do. Your job is to design the system, build the team, and get out of the way. That's how you build your freedom with land investing. Here's what I promise. You can fire yourself without losing control. You can scale a land flipping business and be incredibly profitable without having to hire 20 people. And you can finally stop being the bottleneck that slows your growth. What I'm about to show you is a 5-step process that I use personally, and now I teach all of my high-level coaching and consulting clients to build a business. Let's jump in. Step number 1, you want to track everything you do. Time tracking exposes a lie that you're not a chief executive officer. You are a chief everything officer. Being able to clearly state exactly what you're doing in 15-minute increments will put so much light on exactly what you're doing and what percentage of the tasks that you're doing that are actually contributing to building the business and making yourself more profitable. I think of myself as a CEO as the highest paid employee. And so the tasks that I must be doing should be the most high leverage tasks to actually build the business. And a time audit will expose this lie that most of you aren't even doing it, because I wasn't either. Step number 2, build with outputs, not with tasks. This is a mistake that I made really early on in my land investing business, and I'm still learning every single day. The task shouldn't be send the mailers. The output should be, hey, we need to achieve this amount of offers per week using mailers. It's a very different level of thinking. If we say we need to send 5,000 mailers, that is a single task. And what it creates in your employees and yourself is a task-based mindset. In reality, if we sent one mailer and achieved our profitability goals, it wouldn't really matter. And so when we think in outputs, we can be more efficient, more effective, and build out a system that's based on productivity, not activity. And that is so important, and where a lot of new investors get tripped up. Now, of course, this needs to be taken with a grain of salt, depending on the level of employee. A lot of land investors will hire a $5 an hour, $6 an hour VA, and $4 an hour VA. And the reality is, sometimes someone at that level of skill set in more of an administrative role is not going to be able to really think in outputs and outcomes, but the output remains the same. We still want to teach our team members to think in outputs, not in tasks. Most entrepreneurs think they've delegated, but what they've really done is just created longer, more complex to-do lists for their employees. That's not delegation, that's task dumping. True delegation means assigning a result and building a lane for helping someone achieve that outcome. Example. So what you don't want to say is send 2,000 mailers. What you do want to say is your output is 20 offers per week through these mailers. Own it. That shift turns a task manager into a output manager. and completely changes your business. This turns people from team members into leaders, and leaders are what scale companies, not hole diggers. Step number 3, install KPI dashboards. This is where I see so many people mess up, and me included. One of the things that a lot of my private clients do right away is we look at their KPIs and they have none. And a lot of times it takes that accountability outside yourself to really hold you accountable to. We need to track these numbers in order to make data-based decisions versus emotional-based decisions. KPIs like offers sent, conversations had, qualifications had, outbound marketing sent, profitability per deal. All these KPIs are really going to define the health of your business and whether or not you need to hire another person, you need to bring someone else on, you need to fire someone. KPIs define the business. They are like the compass if you're sailing on a sea. But most people just look around and say, well, that looks like the right direction. Because I think I heard this on a podcast that was the right direction, right? And it ends up KPIs are the way for you to see what direction you're actually going in. If your team is not hitting numbers, stop blaming them. Start tracking better. You don't rise to a level of your ambition. You fall to the level of your visibility. When we installed KPIs, our performance skyrocketed, not because of any other reason, but blatant accountability. We knew where we were and where we needed to be. And so when we were in a meeting, when we were having a conversation, we can really look and say, what is preventing us from hitting this outcome? Do we need to renegotiate? Or is there a problem with the people? Or is there a problem with the process? When people start seeing a scoreboard, they start playing to. That's how you scale with your team, not against them. Step number 4, build a training academy with Loom or Notion or whatever task management repository that you use in your business. We record every single process that we do. So if we're installing a new process, we execute it, we do the process, we document the process. Then if we bring someone new on, we ask them to actually go through the process and we give them feedback. But in order for us to do that and train quickly, we need to have this repository, this place in which we're putting all of our SOPs, standard operating procedures, what we're doing, how we do it, what the step-by-step process is, what the definition of done is, what the references we need in order to achieve this outcome. Most people don't have this, and so they bring people on and it takes them away, them as the CEO or some of their other team members, that takes them away from actually continuing to move the business forward. This becomes problematic because if you bring someone on every month or every 2 months, what you're seeing is hours stolen away from the productivity of your team because you don't have a good training program in order to help new onboards come in, learn quickly, and start creating outputs. Step number 5, fire yourself and coach them instead. Let people fail and coach them up. One of the greatest books that I've ever read about coaching team members is called The Coaching Habit. Highly recommend it. Gives you a talk track of a couple of questions that you can use in order to level up your team. Really what happens is a team member will potentially bring you a problem, a challenge. And if they know the first thing you're going to say is, what do you think? Instead of solving the problem, then they'll start to solve the problem on their own. So the 1-3-1 rule is one of the ways that I've really helped scale myself as a leader in my business, because as most entrepreneurs know, you're getting problems, challenges thrown on you like a monkey, a crazy monkey during the day-to-day of your business. And so the 1-3-1 rule serves as this barrier. I learned this originally from Dan Martell, and the 1-3-1 is if you have a problem, before coming to a leader, someone that's a manager or a leader in an organization, you need to come up with 3 potential solutions. In doing so, you don't just say, hey, I need help solving this problem. In fact, what happens is in the effort to have the problem solved through the 3 solutions that they present themselves, sometimes the problem solves itself. And in the event that it doesn't, they come with you to say, hey, I have this problem. I've come up with 3 solutions to this specific problem. And here's the solution that I would recommend we do. What do you think? This builds judgment, feedback, and helps these people, your individual team members, level up as leaders. But it's really hard for us as CEOs to do this. And the reason why is because we're used to fixing problems. That's how we originally got in this business. We fixed a problem. We had a problem. Hey, I have a financial problem. Hey, I know that I could help sellers in selling their land quickly. And so I'm used to really solving problems quickly, right? And for some people, for the men in the audience, there's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, which is a relationship book. It's a little outdated, But one of the core tenets of the book is, one of the core motifs of the book is men have these Mr. Fix-It hats. And so men will put on their Mr. Fix-It hat and they'll say, hey, honey, you're communicating your distress, or you have a challenge or some problem, and I'm going to fix this problem for you. And in reality, they just want to hear you. They just want you to hear them. And that is the nuance. I had to learn how to put my Mr. Fix-It hat off, take my Mr. Fix-It hat off, not only in my relationship, but also in my business. And really, in order to create leaders, not followers, we need to do that quickly by coaching our team, not controlling them. Picture this. You open your dashboard on Monday morning. There's 30 offers sent. You have 2 deals under contract with $50,000 projected profit, and you had nothing to do with this. You were out with your family on a hike over the weekend, and you weren't thinking about work. Your team is in motion without needing you. You're planning 1 to 2 to 3 quarters ahead. You're doing what you're born to do as a visionary. You're thinking in outcomes, not in tasks. This is not a fantasy. This can very well happen if you implement the 5 steps that we just talked about above. If you're ready to get your time back and scale faster than ever, below in the notes, there's going to be a time audit sheet that we use with all of our private clients. Feel free to download that for free. And if you got benefit from this, share this with another operator, maybe a partner, in order to scale faster together. Until next week, we'll see you later.